All right, I want to ask you something, and I want you to be really honest with yourself for a second.
Think about it. When was the last time you actually sat down to do something important? Read a book, study for a test, really dig into a work project, and you didn't get that little itch, that voice in your head that goes, hey, just check your phone for a second. And bam, before you know it, 45 minutes have just evaporated. And the worst part? We beat ourselves up over it. We think, I have no self-control.
But here's the thing. What if I told you that's not it? It's not a discipline problem. It's an attention problem. And the really critical part to understand is this. Your attention isn't just failing you. It is actively, deliberately under attack every single day.
So this is the focus problem. And here's the paradox that makes it so confusing, right? You can sit down and binge watch an entire season of a show, no problem. Hours just fly by. Or you can get lost scrolling through videos until your eyes glaze over. So clearly we can focus. We have that ability. So why does it completely vanish the second we try to do something meaningful?
Yeah, think about it. The second we try to do any of these things, studying, deep work, learning something new, our brain just starts to freak out. It gets restless. We feel bored, antsy, almost like it's physically uncomfortable. It feels like we're suffering. And it makes no sense. How can you have laser focus for a screen for 3 hours, but you can't buckle down on your own goals for even 30 minutes? Well, there's a very clear, scientific answer to that puzzle, and it all boils down to one single powerful chemical in your brain, dopamine. So, let's get into your brain's reward system. See, most of us think of attention as just pure willpower, gritting your teeth and forcing it. But that's not really how it works. Neuroscience tells us it's much more like a spotlight. And that spotlight automatically swings towards whatever your brain thinks is important or exciting or rewarding. And here's the scary part. Modern tech has figured out exactly how to grab the controls for that spotlight. Okay, so let's talk about dopamine, because there's a huge misconception here. We call it the pleasure chemical, but that's wrong. It's really the anticipation chemical. It doesn't spike when you get the reward. It spikes when your brain expects a reward might be on its way. It's the maybe that gets you hooked. That feeling of uncertainty is what drives gambling, it's what makes slot machines so addictive, and you guessed it, it's the engine running your social media feed. Honestly, this is the perfect way to think about it. Every single time you scroll, you are pulling the lever on a digital slot machine. Will the next video be funny, shocking, something you find attractive, something that makes you angry? You don't know, and your brain becomes absolutely addicted to finding out what's next. And there's a clinical name for this whole process. It's called variable reward reinforcement. It's literally one of the most powerful psychological principles for creating addiction ever discovered. And it's not just some obscure theory. It's the bedrock, the foundation for pretty much every major app on your phone. So let's look at how these apps actually engineer this addiction. And for our case study, let's look at the absolute master of the craft, TikTok. Because TikTok isn't just an app you watch for fun. No. It's a finely tuned behavioral engineering machine. It has one single goal, to keep your eyes on that screen for as long as humanly possible by hijacking that dopamine loop we just talked about. It does this using a few key psychological weapons. First up, the infinite scroll. Think about a book. It has a last page. A movie has credits. Your brain gets a signal that it's over. With infinite scroll, that never happens. There's no stopping point, so you just keep going. Next, you have these constant micro rewards. Every 10 seconds or so, you get a new video, a new little dopamine hit. It's a fire hose of stimulation. But the most powerful weapon of all is the personalized addiction. The algorithm isn't just showing you random videos. It's learning you. It figures out your insecurities, your desires, your emotional triggers, and it builds a feed specifically designed to keep you hooked. It starts to feel less like you're choosing what to watch and more like the algorithm is choosing for you. Okay, so what's the big deal? You waste a little time. So what? Well, the hidden cost of all this distraction is way bigger than you think. The real danger is how our brains are being physically rewired by this constant stimulation. This goes way beyond a bad habit. We're talking about actual physical changes happening inside your head. The science behind this is called neuroplasticity. It's just a fancy word for the fact that your brain is constantly changing and rewiring itself based on what you do over and over again. Imagine your brain is a grassy field. Every time you have a thought or do an action, you're walking a path. The more you use that path, the more worn in it becomes, until it's a deep rut. So when you're constantly feeding your brain this super fast-paced, high dopamine content, you're digging a superhighway for high stimulation.
Your brain starts to expect that level of intensity all the time, and suddenly, normal life just feels kind of boring and gray in comparison. I love this quote because it just nails it. Your brain becomes like a child raised on candy. Healthy food no longer tastes good. That's exactly what happens. All the healthy food for your mind, reading a book, having a real conversation, focusing on a project, it all starts to taste bland. It feels like a chore because it can't compete with the digital candy. And it gets worse. There's another hidden cost that psychologists call attention residue. It's this idea that every time you switch tasks, say you're working, and you just glance at your phone for a second, a part of your attention gets left behind. It stays stuck on whatever you just saw. So when you go back to your work, you're not bringing your full brain power with you. You're operating at a lower capacity. This, right here, is why multitasking is a complete myth. You're not doing two things at once. You're just doing two things badly and paying a mental tax every single time you switch.
All right, so that's the bad news. It sounds pretty bleak, right? But here's the good news. You can absolutely fight back. And I'm not talking about just trying harder or using more willpower. We're going to go over 3 simple science-backed strategies you can use to start taking back control of your own mind. Okay, step 1. Make focus the easy option. Stop trying to win a battle of willpower you're designed to lose. It's about designing your environment. The single most powerful thing you can do? Put your phone in another room when you need to focus. Out of sight, out of mind. Turn off every single notification you don't absolutely need. Make distraction inconvenient. Step 2. Train your tolerance for boredom. Your brain has gotten weak when it comes to being understimulated. You have to rebuild that muscle. Start small. Eat a meal without looking at a screen. When you're waiting in line to the store, just wait. Don't pull out your phone. It's going to feel weird, even uncomfortable at first. That's a good sign. It means you're rewiring. And step 3, use the 25-minute rule. This is often called the Pomodoro technique. The idea of deep work for 3 hours straight is terrifying to a distracted brain. So don't even try. Instead, just commit to one 25-minute sprint of pure, uninterrupted focus. Anyone can do 25 minutes. Then you get a 5-minute break. This makes deep work feel manageable, not impossible.
So look, the key takeaway here is that your struggle with focus is not a moral failing. It's not because you're lazy. It's a perfectly normal reaction to living in an abnormal environment that is designed to fracture your attention. But the second you decide to fight back, the second you start to reclaim that ability to focus, you gain a genuine superpower. Because in a world where almost everyone is constantly distracted, the person who can concentrate deeply, that person has an unbelievable advantage.
So, I'll leave you with this one last thought to chew on. We live in a world where your attention is the product being bought and sold. So, what will you do with your focus? What amazing things could you build or learn or create if you started treating your attention like the most valuable thing you own?